Hey everybody, it's Friday, May 15th. Happy Friday. You guys made it to the end of the week. Yay! And the weather's getting nicer. It's getting a little bit warmer. All things are exciting. Let's take a look at what I got for you today. We'll get some new IXL stuff out for you on Monday. Take a look at that. Message me if you need help, and I'll post a review. Hangouts at 10 o'clock on next Thursday. It was great seeing you guys yesterday. Thank you so much for those that came in. And I hope to see anybody that wasn't there on next Thursday. So Thursdays at 10 is our day. Hope you guys liked our surprise. I know some of you guys are excited about that. So um, keep tuning in. Head up for lunch and breakfast. The high school. And if you have any questions, let me know. Stay safe and stay home. Take a look at Prodigy and IXL for math. AR and IXL for reading. Check out that video and the video from the week before for social studies. I talked about that yesterday in our Google Hangout. And FIAD, music, art, guidance, all of those good things. Check those out in our specialist folder and check them out on Monday again for the new stuff. These were the standards for the week, so take a look at those. Hopefully you guys did all right with any of these. If you didn't, hopefully let me know. But they're pretty straightforward. So hopefully those worked out and you watched the reviews if it didn't make sense for you. And let me know next week if any of the new stuff doesn't work for you, and I can help you out and be happy to help you or explain why we do it that way. And now, the next chapters of Shredder Band Meet the Gecko, the third story. If you remember, we left off, and all of a sudden, Nolan had Sticky, the gecko, and they were going to return him back to the movie theater, or the movie shoot. Chapter 15, Scared Circuitless. The next morning, I almost pretended I was sick. I didn't want to go to school, not because I wanted to fake it so I could go back to Old Town and play the gecko in Tekken 3. I was planning on doing that, going there after school. No, I was afraid to go to school because I knew Bubba was going to pound me, or poison me, or at least corner me and fumigate me with Bubba breath. Pretending to be sick seemed a whole lot safer than being hospitalized. But then my mom came into my room and said, "Good morning, honey. How was my superhero this morning?" And that's when I knew I had to go to school. Superheroes don't stay home sick, even when they really are. They go there and take their licks. And when they're down, they get right back up and try again. What kind of superhero is afraid of Bubba breath? I tried to block out the thoughts of Bubba's fist and his humongous size. And while I gobbled down my peanut buttered Eggo, I let my mom kid me about Sticky. She hadn't believed a word of what I had told her the night before, and since Dad was now calling Sticky's wave a coincidence, I quit arguing. I know what I saw. So I just brushed my teeth, strapped my backpack, and headed across the street. That doesn't mean I hung around the playground waiting to be pounded, though. No way. I did my power walk straight for the classroom. Bubba wouldn't touch me in front of the substitute. I could hang out there all day, all week. So I zoomed up the ramp and tried the door. But it was locked. I looked in the window, hoping Miss Newby was there. She wasn't. So I power walked over to the computer lab. Same story. Locked up tight. So was the library. I started sweating bullets again. Where could I go? The minute Bubba spotted me, I'd be fried like a microchip in a power surge. "Hi, Nolan," a voice behind me said. My hair shot straight out. My knees buckled underneath. I landed with a painful bump on the cement before I realized that it couldn't be Bubba. It was a girl's voice, and she said Nolan, not nerd. I looked up. Trinity Altifer had her mouth covered with both hands. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't mean to scare you." "That's okay," I said, trying to get back up. I keep my backpack so loaded with my things it gets pretty heavy. And right now, I was like a turtle stuck on its back. She put out her hand to help me out, and I almost didn't take it. Superheroes don't need help from girls. But she grabbed my arm and yanked. Then, did you really meet the gecko? Uh-oh. Where'd you hear that? I asked. Kevin and Max are going around telling everyone. They're saying Bubba saw you on the set with a special visitor's badge and everything. She was still holding on my arm, even though I was back on my feet. Is it true? Maybe. Maybe? How can it maybe be true? My circuits were overloaded. I couldn't think of what to say. What do? I looked over both shoulders like crazy. I was just there with my dad. Because he's a reporter, right? Uh-huh. That's great. Tell me about it. I wish he could have just leave me alone. Have you seen Bubba? We're supposed to call him Alvin, remember? Yeah, if you like getting pounded. Nolan, she said with a scowl. I call him Alvin all the time. Do I look pounded? She did? Why hadn't I ever heard that? No, I said, but you're a, girl. She punched me in the arm. So what? Hey, boy, for a girl who spent her life drawing ponies, she sure punched hard. And yeah, I saw him, she added, down by the swings. Now tell me about being on set. The warning bell rang, and I let out a huge sigh of relief. The substitute would unlock the room in no time. Safety was a power walk away. Trinity followed me as I zoomed along the walkway. Why don't you want to talk about it? She asked. Did something happen? Did you trip or fall or something? Did they kick you off the set? My head whipped around to face her. No, I didn't trip. And stop making fun of me. I'm not making fun of you, she said. I just, wondering. Well, I'm not the one who got kicked off the set, I snapped. She raced along beside me. But you're saying someone did? All of a sudden, there was Bubba, looming large and deadly across the blacktop. He was looking at me, too, and coming my way. This was it. I could tell. A few seconds, I'd be nothing but nerd nuggets. But then the strangest thing happened. Bubba turned. No push. No punch. No threat. No breath. He just went into the bathroom. Wow, Trinity whispered. He looks really different. He still looks plenty mean to me. And totally deadly. But she was right. Something was different. I tried to figure it out. It wasn't his clothes or his hair. He looks depressed, she said. It was the weirdest thing since quantum dots. But yes, that was it exactly. We waited a minute before going up the ramp into the classroom. Neither of us could quite believe it. Bubba Bixby? Depressed? Inside the classroom, the air felt totally dead, like the room was in a vacuum. Eyes were shifting around uneasily, but no one was talking. Even Miss Newby seemed to understand that something strange was going on. She just stood behind the teacher's desk, looking at all of us, looking at each other. Good morning, class, she finally said. Good morning, a few of us mumbled. Then she did something only a substitute would be crazy enough to do. She asked, Is everything all right, Alvin? His face was leaning on one beefy hand. He shrugged and scowled. He looked like a monster with a toothache. Alvin? She asked again. What? He snapped at her. She jerked back a little. Then she took a deep breath and said, Would you like to... What? Go to the office? He was looking at a lot like a grizzly bear at the historian. No, he growled. Just leave me alone. But if you... I said no! Everyone held their breath, including Miss Newbie. Then very slowly, Bubba looked over his shoulder, right at me. Why don't you kick him out? He grumbled. All the heads in the class turned until everyone was staring at me. I shrank lower in my seat. I wanted to hide. And Miss Newbie was about to ask me something, but Trinity stood up like she was giving an oral report and said, Alvin's upset because Nolan got to meet the gecko. The gecko? Miss Newbie asked. Shut up, pony girl, Bubba snapped. Alvin, Miss Newbie scolded. Well, it's none of your stupid business, Bubba shouted. Miss Newbie said, Please, Alvin, control yourself. Triple O. If you know anything about Bubba Bixby, you know that that was the complete wrong thing to say to him. And sure enough, he stood up, threw his chair over, and stomped out of the room. But not before giving me the deadliest glare I'd ever seen. Miss Newbie picked up the classroom phone and called the office. And after whispering mad for a minute, she hung up, straightened Bubba's chair, and tried to smile. Well, class, it seems like we're off to a bumpy start this morning. Then she just stood there with a twitchy smile and tried to figure out what she should do next. Trinity whispered, Wow, he looked like he was about to cry. Cry, I said. He looked like he was about to kill me. Yeah, but I'm talking about underneath all that. She turned to Freddie next to her. Didn't you think that he looked like he was going to cry? Freddie scowled at her. Bubba, cry? You're psycho, pony girl. She punched him in the arm. Don't call me psycho or pony girl, P-boy. He turned beet red and shut up. It felt like none of us would survive the day. There's Nolan hiding. There's Trinity. Chapter 16. Crazy idea. Miss Newbie finally gave us a reading assignment. Take out your social studies book, read pages 142 through 152. When you're done, answer the questions 1 through 11 on page 153. We all pulled out our books and started reading. It had never been so quiet in room 22. Social studies is not my favorite subject to begin with. It usually feels like I'm feeding my brain sawdust, but somewhere in the middle of reading about the people of Brazil, I started daydreaming. For once, I wasn't daydreaming about an invention or playing with my computer or being Shredder Man or watching the gecko and Sticky. I was thinking about Bubba and about Bubba's dad. I've seen Mr. Bixby in action, and boy, he's just like Bubba, only bigger and meaner. I was also thinking about my dad, my totally great dad who calls me Champ and helps me be Shredder Man and took me to meet the gecko. How could two dads be so different? How could two kids be so different? What if I had to live with Bubba's dad? Would I get meaner? What if Bubba got to live with my dad? Would he get nicer? Was that the key to making Bubba nicer? Was there even a key? Or was Bubba always going to be the same? I think the rest of the kids in the class were daydreaming too because everybody jumped when Dr. Voss walked in the room. Dr. Voss is our principal, and her walking in a room can make you jump all by itself. But now she wasn't alone. She had Bubba with her. Everybody pretended to be reading, but eyes were shifting around like crazy. Bubba didn't look at anything but the ground and went straight to his seat while Dr. Voss and Miss Newbie stood off to the side and whispered. And even though Bubba didn't look at anyone, everyone in class noticed Bubba's eyes were red and puffy. All the kids in class twitched their faces and mouths. They were spreading the word without saying a word. Bubba Bixby had been crying. Crying. For the rest of the school, no one knew what to do or say. Even Kevin and Max steered clear of him. And although Bubba was quieter than he'd ever been, something about him looked extra angry, extra dangerous. So, believe me, I was shaking in my shoes. But at recess, nothing happened. And at lunch, instead of stalking kids like a tower of terror, Bubba sat by himself in the lower field throwing pebbles in the grass. All kinds of kids asked me about meeting the gecko, but normally talking about it would have been great. But I didn't want to talk about it. Felt like showing off your Christmas presents when a guy next to you only got a lump of coal. Even if the guy next to you deserved a lump of coal, it still felt wrong. Besides, a lot of kids were telling me it was history, toast, nothing but walking worm food. And I had the feeling that they were right. Bubba hated me so bad now. He was probably planning something even wickeder than usual. My stomach was in knots. My throat choked off. I couldn't even remember my times tables. Then, during math, I got the world's craziest idea. I actually dropped my pencil. It was that crazy. But the more I thought about it, the more sense it made. The more I wanted to do it. I would either change things or get me killed. I just had to get up enough nerve to find out which. Chapter 17 is called Elvin Emerges. And that'll be our next chapter that I'll read tomorrow. Hey, here's a picture of our class from the yearbook that'll be coming out eventually. And I thought I would just put this in here so you can kind of see everybody. This was the one that I made sure you guys all had your name spelled right and all that good stuff. So thought I'd put this up there. I hope you guys like that part of the story. I'm looking forward to seeing how Nolan and Bubba work out as they go through the story. I hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. Get outside, play, do something fun, do something creative, make something, build something. I want to hear about it. I want to see pictures. I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I'm going to hear from you guys later. Talk to you later. Bye.